Hello, I'm going to read a book from the Kid Presidents, Kid Legends. It's an insert about Abraham Lincoln and the not so wicked stepmother. So we know about Abraham Lincoln. When the Civil War threatened to tear America apart, the great president held the Union together. Abraham Lincoln came from humble beginnings. He was born in a log cabin, but his love for learning allowed him to grow into one of the wisest leaders of the United States ever had. Long before the North and South, however, he helped reconcile his own family. The Lincoln family moved to the untamed settlement of the Little Pigeon Creek, Indiana, when Abe was just 7 years old. Bears, wolves, and other wild animals roamed the woods near his house. Sometimes Abe had to help his father kill animals for food. The meat filled their bellies, and the pelts kept them warm during the long, frigid winter. Even more dangerous than encounters with wild animals was the threat of contracting a deadly disease. Illnesses with scary names like ague, typhus, and the trembles could wipe out the entire settlement. You could get sick without knowing it, sometimes just by eating the wrong thing. That's exactly what happened to Abe's mother, Nancy. She ate the meat of a cow that had grazed on a poisonous plant and came down with a disease called milk sickness. A few days later, she died. Abe was just 9 years old. His sister Sarah was only 11. Both of them missed their mother terribly. It took a long time for the Lincoln family to get over her death. An entire year passed. During that time, their cabin, which had always been a bit ramshackle, fell into despair. Snow cascaded through a hole in the roof, mounding in the loft where Abe slept. Wind whipped in through moth-eaten bearskin that served as a door, and his sisters were forced to sleep on a floor covered with corncobs and straw. Their life in Little Pigeon Creek had never been easy, but now it seemed like they were worse than ever before. Their father, Thomas, wasn't doing so well either. He was lonely without his wife, and he longed for a companion to help him raise his children. In the autumn of 1819, Thomas told Abe and Sarah that he was going to go back to Kentucky to look for a new wife. He even had an idea whom she would be, Sarah Bush Johnston, a childhood friend who had recently lost her husband and was raising 3 kids herself. Abe and his sister nervously waited their father's return. Thomas was away for 3 weeks, leaving the children alone to face the onset of winter, and many questions about their new mother. What would she be like? Would she favor her own children over them? Would she be cruel and wicked stepmother? Abe prepared for the worst, worrying right up until the day a covered wagon drawn by 4 horses arrived at the cabin door. Out of it stepped a smiling Thomas Lincoln, followed by 3 small children and a big-boned, rosy-cheeked woman with a kindly face. Abe eyed the woman warily. She looked pleasant enough, and she was certainly warm to the touch. When she gathered Abe close, he felt a little chick being taken under her wing on the soft feathered bird. But could Abe trust her? He had gotten used to looking out for his big sister while his father was away, and he wasn't about to let anyone come between them. Well, one thing was for sure. It was about to get a lot more crowded in the cabin. The belongings Sarah brought from Kentucky filled the entire 4-horse wagon. When Abe pitched in to carry some of them, he was amazed at what he saw. A spinning wheel, a feather bed with feather pillows, a beautiful black walnut bureau, and large clothes closet, a table, chairs, a set of pots and skillets, knives, forks, spoons. Intrigued, Abe ran his finger over the wooden bureau, plunged his hands into the soft pillows. He had never felt such fine things. Was it possible? Could it be that life might get better for them? As soon as he was settled, Sarah began putting her own stamp on the Lincoln cabin. She cast aside the old corn husks and Abe and his sisters had been sleeping on. These are fit for a pigeon, she declared, piling them in the yard. That night, Abe slept on the feathered mattress for the first time in his life. Bath time, she proclaimed, and she proceeded to wash and rinse the grimy Lincoln children until they were as clean as her own. They were changes in store for the Thomas Lincoln as well. Sarah put him to work laying down a wood floor, patching the roof so the snow wouldn't pile up on the children's beds, and hanging a proper door to protect them from the elements. When Christmas came that year, the children feasted on wild turkey and venison, prepared in a well stocked kitchen. They went to bed with warm blankets and full bellies. Among all the kids in the blended family, Sarah took a special liking for Abe. She soon discovered that her new stepson was fond of reading. Although she was barely literate, she encouraged him to read. And to get him started, she gave him several books from her own collection, including Aesop's Fables, Robinson Crusoe, and Sinbad the Sailor. Spurred on by his stepmother, Abe began to educate himself. He read in the fields, he read in the kitchen, he read in the woodpile while chopping wood. When he ran out of candles, he read by the light of the log fire. He copied arithmetic problems onto the back of an old wooden shovel. When it was covered with figures, he scraped them off and started again. In the back of one of the school books, he penned the following rhyme: Abraham Lincoln is my name, and with my pen I wrote the same. I wrote in both haste and speed, and left it here for fools to read. As a grown-up, Abraham Lincoln well became known for wise and witty sayings like, "A house divided against itself cannot stand," and for his moving speeches like the Gettysburg Address. If not for the arrival of the not-so-wicked stepmother, he might never have nurtured his passion for language and learning. Indeed, Sarah Johnston Lincoln enriched her son's life, making it possible for him to become the first state legislator, then U.S. Congressman, and finally the President of the United States. She cheered every great milestone of his political career and lived long enough to see him enter the White House. Although she was too old and frail to visit him, Abe remained close to her always. He even kept a 40-acre plot of land for her to use at all times. And he once said, "All I am or ever hope to be, I owe to her."